Hello, hello. It's yet again Wednesday, not Thursday. Many apologies. I do not control my life, apparently. So here we are, chopping and changing, being dynamic and flexible on another wonderful Consonance live stream. What have we got today? Same kind of things. I get the sense, actually, well, I hope for your sake that you're on vacation. And this is one that you can play back at 2 times speed. It's end of August. We've only got like another week or so, haven't we, before I feel like it's a bit back to schoolish, even if we're not going back to school. So hopefully I'm going high speed as we scamper through the agenda today, which is the usual glorious mix of things that are changing, ways to reach people, becoming ever more expert, diving into details where that's pleasing and fruitful, and doing all of this at speed. So first up, change. Everyone loves change. Got a new page. Well, it's not a new page. It's a updated page, and it's at the work level. So, you know, when you go to a work, you land on this page to start with, usual kind of thing. This is the place where you can get to the metadata page, you can get to your project management tools and all of that great stuff. And if you carry on going along the local menu here, you get to data exchange, and clicking on that gives you some further options. Now, until extremely recently, I think maybe an hour ago, this first option said PDF exports, and an extremely amazing client very gently pointed out that was a bit odd because on this page you can get JPEG covers as well. So we've snicked the word PDF off. I hope that doesn't mank up your internal documentation. If you've got, links for people that say go to data exchange PDF exports. Well, it's now data exchange exports. Let me know if it does mank things up. I'm sure there's a way around it for you that we can do. And clicking on that, we now go to the page that we have seen previously for years and years, but with a couple of extra columns and one extra row. So the couple of extra columns, and again, I must say thank you to the wonderful client who said, wouldn't it be great if we could have the following things? So we've added them in. We've got a column for contributor image. Now on this particular work, it's all greyed out because there is no contributor image, and that's what you'd expect if there isn't one. But when there is, and this what I'm talking about here is uploading an image on the contact profile, and then that contact being a contributor on this work. If there's an image there, then you'll be able to get it from there. I've put some helpy, icony, hovery things, well not hovery, clicky things on, so that you can see where this information comes from. And in the help text there, I'm also shoehorning in a little advert for a much more expansive, extensible, malleable, flexible option than coming to this page, which is to go to Data Studio. And that leads me on to talking about the new buttons at the bottom here. But let me just talk about ebook file as well. So there's this final column here. It's called ebook file because we're only going to put links in this when it's an ebook. If you want to get the penultimate uploaded typeset PDF, print ready PDF, then I urge you to go to content files instead, where you can see all of the different files that have been uploaded for this work and its products. So these are, kind of grab and go quickies, but by definition, I mean, you're probably uploading more than one ebook file or more than one content file for the work. You want to have that flexibility and to be able to see a little bit more. So I would always say, if your workflow permits it, go over to Data Studio. When you see a button, by the way, in Consonance, and it's got this rather, I was going to say jolly. It's not jolly. It's like a kind of a sort of all-seeing eye kind of an icon. You know, connected triangles, let's call it. When you see this icon, this is Data Studio. So you know that when you're clicking on a button that's got the icon in it, you're going to Data Studio. And in fact, when you go to Data Studio, you'll see that icon again. So we're just sort of trying to anchor you in space, or in place, I guess. Yeah, so contributor image, ebook file, if relevant, and then explore templates, explore covers, explore artwork, explore content files lets you really tailor what you hope to see here. But I will just say, just to explain the logic for what these kind of one-stop buttons are. And you don't need to remember this because we've written it in the help text. This option, sorry, I'm reading from the screen. Oh, how boring for you. Skip this bit if you like, because you can see it here. This option lets you download the PDF from the default marketing material template, which is either the marketing material template set on the imprint, or, if that's missing, the most recent marketing material template. If that's missing, uses a fallback system-generated template. And if you don't want to have to think, oh, okay, which one was the most recent? And I just want to choose it by name, that's why the button's there. So let's explore templates and see what happens. So we're going from Cats Throughout History to Data Studio. And because we've done the programming for it, we're going to pull through the ID for the work so that when we get to Data Studio, excuse me, we're going to be scoped. We're going to stay scoped to Cats Throughout History. So I'm clicking on Explore Templates now, going through to Data Studio, and it's got this filter pre-populated. So the work system identifier is 138198. Do I have that in there? Yeah. I'm going to hit the back button so that you can see what that mystery number is. Hitting the back button to go back to where we were. Do you see it at the top there? 138198 in the URL there. It says works and then that number. That is your work identifier. So you can click there and that gets pulled through. So we know that any of the displays that we're going to see here are going to be for data that is related to that work. I didn't say we're going to see results that are for that work, because that's not how Data Studio works. It's like a starting point, and then we can carry on sort of following the graph through. So let's have a look to see what that might look like in other displays, because once you're in Data Studio, once you've got the filters set up, you can switch to other displays. So it's just the Cats Throughout History products. Remember the family tree in consonants. This work that was got the ID 138198 has many products. Here's the audio, hardback, paperback, a couple of digitals. And we can switch also to the contributors on that work. So 2 imaginary contributors there. So clicking through from one of those purple buttons will be a great starting point for kind of keeping that thought in your head of, I'm on Cats Throughout History, I want to do a bit more with Cats Throughout History, and I can also start to add in a lot of different filters. So I'll get us back to download marketing material PDFs. That's where we came through to. And it says, 5 products found on this work. Do I want to create PDF marketing sheets for 5 products? Well, I do. And now I get the option of all of the different templates that are there. So back on the exports page where you only had one button, that's the system doing its best guess of which one you might be interested in. But here, if you want, I was going to say ultimate flexibility. If you want flexibility, no need to adorn it with fancy words, then you can choose that here. You can choose a sort option as well. So that's sorting the products within the PDF if it's a multi-product, multi-work template. And you can also group by the products that are available to you. So super helpful, super handy. Or you can just think, don't really care about Cats Throughout History anymore. I can get rid of that. I can do another search, and hey presto, now I've got more options. So I can layer that on, and that's quite interesting. So if we hit the back button a few times, once, we will get back to our exports page. So I clicked through to explore templates. I could click through to explore covers as well. Cover image is the same sort of thing. Trying here to get the cover most likely to be the hit that you want. I've got the verbiage here, the most recent approved cover on the work. If we click on explore covers, then we can choose different naming conventions. We can choose different sizes, which is really nice. And we can junk the single work that we're scoped on and just start again. So you can tell, what we're really trying to do is make sure that there's an easy path to getting exactly what you want by clicking through to Data Studio. If you do, just want the marketing material sheet, fine, knock yourself out. But that's what those buttons are there for, to kind of lead you forward. Because oftentimes when we're going about our daily work, you don't sort of sit down first thing in the morning and say, these are the 6 things I am going to efficiently do in an optimised fashion. We follow our noses, don't we? We get an email and we think, okay, I'll just go and look that up and see what that is. We have an idea and we follow the thread. So it's I think quite pleasing to find yourself in an interface where there are breadcrumbs for where you've been and suggestions for where your thought process might be taking you next. And while we're looking at these sorts of buttons, there's quite a few of them on the work overview page. And, this hasn't changed. We're now no longer talking about change. This has been here for a while. Oh, excuse me. Still ill. So we've got explore buttons here, explore buttons on the contributor on a work, and in a variety of other places as well. We've got some nice ways to get to Data Studio. And as you'll know by now, you can get to it by going to the main menu, clicking on Data Studio, or you can click on Data Studio right at the top there, and that takes you to the dashboard, which has got your saved searches. It's got your unsaved searches, so anything that you have created but not put a name on, that appears there, and it's got a library of examples which we've covered previously, but that's growing all the time. Yes, and then the enormous great triangle of all-seeing information is there as well. So that's that new page. Thanks again to the kind client who had the thought for it, and hopefully it gives you a sort of a pathway as well towards getting to Data Studio without kind of losing your mental thread. Right, that's change. We have changed. What is next? Expertise. Yeah, so I was going to kind of roll this into to that button that we just clicked on, adding to the filters. Let's go back to our exports page, and I'll tell you what I mean. So we're on Cats Throughout History. We're thinking about downloading an AI, as in an advanced information sheet, not the other stuff. And we come here, and first thing I see is 5 products found, and I think, yeah, but I mean the system couldn't have known this, but I just want the hardback. I don't want whatever these other 5 products have found. So I just wanted to remind you that when you come to a page like this, there is nothing to stop you clicking on Add Filter, boink, and refining down the filtered options to what you want. So if I do product form include any of hardback, then now I'm going to get only one product found, because there is one product on this work that has the product form hardback. So, absolutely get into the habit of not settling for what you see on first click. I want you to be thinking, okay, I'm in a good place. It's the great starting point. Now what? So, it probably helps to spend some time just having a little check-a-look flick through the options that are available to you. I mean, I do tend to tell you on the live stream and through notifications when we've added significant new options here, but you might not have sort of scrolled through the whole lot for a while. So let's just take a little trip through some of the scroll area, because it does go on quite a long way. So I don't want to just read off the screen to you, but it's worth saying that there are attributes on a product. So product, we're talking about like hardback, paperback, audio, downloadable audio file, that you can filter by. Classic one is title. When you choose one of these options, the middle drop down here will change. So it'll change to make sense with the thing that you've just chosen. So, product title contains, fine, cats. Well, that's not going to change anything, is it? Because we know that the title's already got cats in it. If we change it to does not contain, we're going to get 0 products back. And that's going to be both useless and interesting. So let's get rid of that. But there are some other ones that aren't quite so obvious that could be really useful. And one that came up this morning was internal use only. So on the metadata page, might go and have a look at it in a moment. There's a toggly checkbox thing that says, hey, this is for internal use only. We don't want this record going out in Onyx. We want to make sure that there's a sales restriction on it. And that's useful for emitting Onyx records, but you can use it to filter down your search results as well. So, if I go products, sale restriction, internal only, I have to think now, the logic. I don't want it to be internal only, then that's going to result in my 5, because we haven't got anything changed yet. So let's go and have a look, shall we? Let's go and change the sales restriction internal only on one of these products and see what we get. So I've gone to recently visited works. I'm right moused and I'm opening the link in a new tab. I know it sounds so silly to say it, doesn't it? But sometimes using other people's systems, I think, gosh, there is no bar low enough that it's not worth mentioning some of the obvious stuff. So we're on cats throughout history. If I go to publishing, then it's in this bit, add sales restrictions. How did I know it's in publishing? Well, mustn't just say we wrote the system, so of course we know. You might know that this bit is in the publishing section. You might not, though. Or you might have temporarily forgotten, which is also completely fine. So if I type in restriction up here, it takes me to it. So remember that there's this filter at the top of this and other pages. Super useful for when you want this clarity of just this on the page and nothing else. So at the moment, there aren't any sales restrictions on any of these products, but let's make sure that let's say that the paperback is for internal use only. And so I'm going to save that. And now we've got internal only. If I go back to my search, here I am, refresh the page, that's going to go to 4 products now, because we're omitting any of the products that have got a sales restriction. So that can be really quite helpful, and you can do it the other way around as well. If that's yes, then I'm going to get 1 product back. Look, I'm making life easy, difficult for ourselves by not having the list there. So there's the yes. Here's the no. So, it's often the case that there might be a piece of information that you've entered into consonants for a particular reason. Don't let this go to Nielsen. I don't need to see this on Amazon. That would be a disaster. But you can use that same data for managing your own investigations internally here. So when we do, it's like this, can't stop saying these sort of tired old mantras, I suppose, but it's one version of the truth. And when you genuinely think about what that means, you think, oh right, yeah, because I put in that information for reason A, and now I can use it for reasons B through Z. So it's quite handy. So a bunch of attributes on products. Some of them can help you tie in with previous systems as well. Like if you've imported data and you've kept the in-house reference being the previous ID in whatever other systems you used to use or still use, or if you put that in the legacy ID, then you get to use that as a filter as much as anything. Let's see if there are any other useful ones. Oh, allow Onyx exports. Love this one. No results because none of these had Onyx toggled on. Where's my publishing again? Not live. So fantastic. And it allows me to go from this sort of micro detail bit of being at the work level on the metadata page for one work, but then kind of follow that thread through, come up to the company level and know that I can use the information entered on that page and all of the other works pages to get some sense and to use some useful filters. So that's really quite nice. Look, and we've only gone down as far as, products. Oh, let me just do dates, actually, because dates can be quite interesting. We'll just do the pub date. Pub date. And do you see, I don't have to type in products, space, hyphen, space, publication date. Just, type in what you think is plausible, and then the options are going to get whittled down for you. So there's my publication date. Middle options change because we're now talking about dates. But they do have a Boolean option, is the pub date present? Is it not present? Super handy. The other one, which I said earlier, slightly tongue-in-cheek, well, I know about this because I wrote the system. But I keep forgetting about this one, which is that you can have on, and this is a date range. So this is really super handy to say pub date on, and then pick a year or a month or something last month. And then you get to use that as, a kind of a cheap way of setting a date range. So 1st of July to 31st of July. Love it. But you can have on or after, and then these dates, the final column on this date picker here, you've got three options. You can have a fixed date, you can have a relative date, which I really like, and that can be days, it can be weeks, months or years, it can be forward or backwards, so 8 days ago. And then you can round, so you can round to the beginning of the year. Where's the beginning of the year? And that gives us like the 1st of January. It's really handy, especially if you can't quite believe that it's August already and you need to do everything using human words rather than actually knowing what the date is. And then these quick picks, are like words that also transmogrify into meaningful dates. Yeah, so pub dates are really super handy. Still on products, here's a bunch of dates, here's a bunch of identifiers, here's some, settings that have been set in other parts of the system. And look, we haven't even started scrolling down this thing. So I think I've given you the general idea there. Don't be afraid to change the filters, and from time to time maybe have a scamper through this whole thing, or try it. Put something in here like to do, and you think, oh my god, right, we can filter by the to-do level. Interesting. We covered relative to the other week, didn't we? We can filter by assignees on the work. Oh, well, this changes everything, So yeah, or does not contain Emma. That would be great. Blissful nothingness. Oh, they all do. So yeah, plenty of useful options to keep you going on that. Very, very cool. Right, what did I have on the next slide? Just check we are where we are. Yeah. So look at this, cheating. I've smooshed depth and reach together. It's not really cheating, is it? Because this is going to cover both of these things. And what I've put here is doing things from scratch, because I sat down to prep for our live stream today, and you know, I started doing the thing that I always do, which is to tee everything up so that we can go straight there. And I thought actually there is value and utility in actually not doing that from time to time, from starting from nothing. So let's start from the home page, and I'm not going to, you know, set anything up to take you straight there. And the thing that jumped to mind immediately was creating a new search, because we clicked through from a handy dandy purple button. It was all nicely looked after, nicely constrained. But you know, what do you do if you sit down in the morning, you've got this sort of tabula rasa in front of you? Let's do a few things where we're creating things from scratch. We're going to do a data studio search. Then I thought we would do a marketing material template. And then we might do one or two other things. Maybe create a work. Just for that sense of, you know, your colleagues in past you will have done a lot of stuff within consonants, but sometimes you are in new mode and you need to do something from scratch. So yeah, so first up, Data Studio search. Let's have a look. So I click on Data Studio. And I've got, you know, all of these different options for things that I've done in the past, and I can click on quick, you know, get started quickly, library of example things there. But let's search out this sort of plain looking button called New Search and see what that does for us. And I'm met with no data, with some empty fields. Can be quite, you know, what do I do next? So this is why we're going through it. There's a cheerful looking suggestion of what's this, and you can click on that. Some information will fly out from the side if you click read more. But we're talking together, aren't we? So I won't read that from the screen again at you. So these are the filters. And, you know, when you're on a search that's already kind of motoring, these are the same filters. It's just that we haven't got anything here just at the moment. So clicking on this first one, it's the same options. Look, there's our title. There's our pub date. Type in to do, and we get that same exciting set of stuff. And it's the same deal. You know, when I have a particular type of filter here, my middle option is going to change, and then my last option is going to change as well. So that's what's going on there. These filters on this new search page are just the same as the filters on the search that you sort of automatically click on all the time, because it's the one you've got set up nicely. And then we've got this drop down here, which is labelled desired outcome. And that's a genuine thing, because, you know, what do you want to have happen next? You want to look for all of the products that have got the word cat in the title, because you're doing a cat catalogue. But what do you want to have happen? And so these options are written so that you've got that sort of verb as well as the noun. You know, we want to list the products. We want to download the marketing materials. We want to view a custom report. We want to list some more things. What else do we want to do? We want to set some data, set the season for all of those products. We want to generate some documents, and so on and so on. So this is meant to be a kind of a quiet, unspoken story between you and consonants. Like, yeah, what am I trying to do? So sometimes it's worth just having a look at you know, the words on the page, thinking, yeah, actually, I just want to list the products. Let me see what's going on. Or, you know, even sort of higher level than that, give me an overview. So I click on search, and I've got my overview. Okay, there are 46 works, 66 products where the title contains cats. That's all I'm getting from this page. I want to dive in more. So I click on switch to, and then I've got these same options, but now they're laid out in this pop-up so that I can get to them and I can filter them more easily. So, what do I want to do? Probably list the products. Yeah, do that. And there they all are. And now I might want to, start adding filters, refining down my searches, copy it to the clipboard, save it if this is a really valuable search that I've started to set up. But yeah, so that's our kind of way in, isn't it, into creating something from scratch there on the Data Studio. If you're like me and you're lazy, I'm not sure lazy is the right word, a busy business executive in a hurry, then do have a look at the library of examples, because clicking on these will get you pretty far. And it's the same sort of thing. These aren't searches that exist just yet. These are ready to be created. And, if I click on works which have no ebook, that's not going to click through to a search that you or your colleagues have already set up. That's going to create a new ready-to-use search that we've written. So, I'll click on that, works which have no ebook, click, and then that takes me through to works where the results of this search called ebooks, there's no works in that. So this is telling me all of our products have got an ebook. So there we go, change that round, which is super duper. I could do the same sort of thing for various other options. And then, if there's something where you are not in the mood for creating something from scratch and carefully, reading through all of this stuff, then definitely drop us a line and we can either add to the library of examples or drop these searches into your account. But that's those are two useful ways for creating new works from absolute scratch. New searches from absolute scratch. The final one is this new search box here. This is essentially the same as going to the new search page and typing in some filters and providing your desired outcome. But this is even quicker, even scrappier. We're not giving you filter options here. We're going straight to the desired outcome for, and this is going to be for all of the products, all of the works in your account. Set season, run search. It's going to have no filters on it. Gets everything. So if you're really in a tearing hurry, or if you just want simplicity, if you want to do a search that is deliberately unfiltered, then this seems great. So do that. So just to remind you, that was the purple box, new search. What do you want to do? Choose the thing, run search, and you're looking at the results, the unfiltered results for your entire data set. Great, so that's doing something from scratch in Data Studio. Another really, frequently used time when we do something from scratch is creating a brand new work. Now, I so rarely, excuse me, oh, my voice is going. I so rarely come here because I do prefer to either duplicate works or to import them from a spreadsheet, or some other variety of setting things up in a slightly more automatic way. But this is completely useful, for when sometimes you might have had a submission in, you are super excited about it, you want to get it on the system sooner rather than later, you don't want to wait to batch it up so that it's on a spreadsheet and then imported and everything. And it doesn't bear any relation to other work, so no point in duplicating it. So you'd come here, so you go to works, and then you come here, add work, and you get taken to this very plain page, add new work. You get to choose one of the following two options. You do get to duplicate an existing work, or you get to add a new work from scratch. And since that's the name of our segment, today we're going to choose that. While I'm here though, actually, I will just mention we did a bit of extra. We did an extra edition on here the other day, which I meant to tell you about and change actually. If you choose to duplicate an existing work, then, you know, you can choose cats throughout history. You can give it a useful name that isn't just duplicated from. You can say more cats throughout history. I think I've already got that one actually, more and more. Then we've got product dates as well. So now you can choose to duplicate product dates. This is, I think, going to be quite rarely used because, copying over the publication date, the on sale date, the expected publication date, I don't think that's going to happen very, very often, but it might. You might be doing a batch, but over a week or something, over to you. I don't know. You can read what gets duplicated and you can see all of the other options as well. These are the publication dates that get set if you check that checkbox. So that can be quite helpful, but we're not duplicating today. We are creating a new work from scratch. And it says after you click create, you'll be taken to the metadata page where you'll start to build up your metadata record. So let's do that. Now, I should have probably paused actually and read the rest of that, because it said you're going to get a new work. You are not going to get any products attached to it because we are doing things from scratch. So the first thing you need to do if you want to have a product on this work, which I would suggest you will, is to add product to this work. So you can do add new, add product to this work. But, we've never wanted Constance to be one of those systems where, like, computer says no, or you need to have a certain amount of information before you can start entering anything at all. So, you can see we have, with no information whatsoever, created a new home for the information to do with this work. It is currently called Untitled. It currently has no plans to have any products. It is a skeleton work, but that's okay, because the most important thing for me is that you have got somewhere to put the rapidly expanding amount of information that just appears for every single work. So the moment you have an inkling that you might be doing this work, bung it in the system like this. You can see it's fairly frictionless, and then you've got a home for it. And you can call, you can have the title something like TBC new horror novel or something. New horror from Emma. It doesn't need to be proper, because as we saw a minute ago in publishing, we haven't got any products, so it can't go out on Onyx because Onyx is at product level. But if we add a product, we're going to have the Onyx set to don't go out, please. So add new, add product to this work. Let's go down to publishing. Onyx is not live. So I've got this safe space where I can let my work and products start to come to life. But I am not in post-it land. I am not in sending emails around. I am not writing things down on a paper pad. I've got a home for the data. So doing this from scratch is quite useful. And then start to build things up there. Add information as it arrives. While we're on the metadata page for this is completely unrelated to anything, but I looked at it this morning and I was delighted and new. In the subjects area, there's keywords. You can add keywords, and we did touch on this, but I only mentioned it once. There's a new way of just checking to see how your keywords are going and whether they're going to please the powers that be and get absorbed into systems such as Amazon, so that they can assist in selling more of your books. So if I write in cats, it's a bit tiny actually. If I write in cats, I have used four characters. And if you're writing this with the idea in mind that there's only so many characters that you're allowed to use before other systems cut you off, some of them say you've got 200 characters and that's it. Don't repeat yourself. Then you get to, as you're typing, see how your you're using the resources to the best of your ability. Now I'm going to write in horror. That's really bad practice. Horror is a subject category, and you are wasting 6 characters by typing in horror, because the customer is going to get the fact that it's horror in a different part of the Onyx feed or the data feed. So as just a general idea, make the most of your keywords by using only unique words. Anyway, rather than trying to figure out exactly the right things to say, then that's how that's going to work. You get to type in the words that you want. You get to see how these phrases are broken down, how many of them there are, total characters, and so on and so forth. So yeah, that's I can't remember why I started saying this now, but what are we doing? Adding things from scratch, I suppose. So that's something that we're doing whilst we're on the metadata page. And then once you press save, the keyword quality checker is going to kick in and say, you've used some funny things there. But again, it's not computer says no. It's more, really? Okay, but be careful. And there's a whole bunch more stuff on keywords there. This is, where did we get this information from? We wrote this information using sources such as the Kindle Direct Publishing Guidance and our own hard-earned experience. So that might be worth having a look at. Never hurts. Great, so that is adding in, we've added in new searches, we've added a work from scratch. The last thing I wanted to do was add in not only some data that is coming from scratch, but from some data that you so rarely go to or need to add in, that sometimes you think, I don't even know where to start. So imagine that you're creating a new imprint. I mean, when do we ever create a new imprint? Well, it's when we're acquiring one or when we're starting from scratch. But I've gone to settings, so it's the account button at the top here, settings, and I can click on imprints. Oftentimes, again, you will totally do this by importing information. But here we are, completely new imprint, adding it in from scratch, and give it the name, a code, and if you want to mix and match and make sure that the imprint names are what is going to be expected in Onyx, then that's useful at this stage as well. You can say which publisher the imprint belongs to. You can set the country of publication at imprint level and the city as well. We've had a couple of tickets this week actually from folks saying, can I set the city of publication at a global level so that I don't have to enter it 100 times? So that's what this sort of thing is really useful for. Then there's our default cover, logo, and our marketing material templates, which kind of brings us full circle, doesn't it? Because if I set this marketing material template at the imprint level, that is going to act as the default the default marketing material template for any work in this imprint. And we saw that in use on the newish exports page. So this option lets you download the PDF from the default marketing material template, which is either the marketing material template set on the imprint, or if that's missing, the most recent marketing material template, or a fallback. So that's where you can set that. So that's rather nice full circle situation to find ourselves in, isn't it? Yes, so coming to settings to add new things in is the sort of thing where you do it really quite rarely. And one does tend to do it, I think, a bit manually, because you'd be a very particular sort of company if you need to import imprints in such volume that you need it on a spreadsheet. I mean, we do have it. If you go to imports, you can see it in the works. But yeah, oftentimes adding things in one by one is quite useful. Great. Well, let's go back to our PowerPoint, because we've got one last bit, and my voice is giving up, so I will do this bit at speed, and it's about speed. And it's a reminder about favourites and shortcuts. Because, again, sometimes we need just to remember that tools are available, and they can save us, time that adds up throughout the day. Earlier on, we looked at filtering the metadata page, didn't we? Filters, wherever you find them, can be quite useful. If I type in series on the filter on this main menu, that's going to whittle down my options to series there. It's also going to have a bit of a kind of a thesaurus behind the scenes as well. So again, try your luck. I've typed in search here. It's refined my options down to Data Studio. Now, the word Data Studio doesn't have the word find in it, as I'm sure you have determined by now. But there's a thesaurus behind the scenes that hopefully tries to capture the things that you are hoping to get to. So that's nice. So that's using filters. We looked at a filter on the marketing on the metadata page, didn't we? Back to the metadata page. There's the filter. We can refine that down so that if you want to only look at subjects, then we only look at subjects. If you want to only look at sales restrictions, then we can type that. Only look at that. So super useful there. Another place that has filters, which I really like and use very often, is setting up custom reports. So on a custom report, these are things that go out in spreadsheets, as you'll remember. If I want to add a column, I can scroll down this whole page, getting completely overwhelmed with all of the options that exist. Or I can think, well, I definitely want the ISBN. I can type that into the filter there. Still going to be overwhelmed because there are a lot of different options. But now, my brain is being looked after because it's whittling down the options so that I can just look at the stuff that I'm interested in. So that's another useful filter. That same filter appears on marketing materials. I was going to create one of these from scratch today, but I don't think my voice is up to it. There's actually a really good, day-long course on how to create marketing materials. So if you wanted to do that, then I'll show you just in a minute actually where that is. So we just looked at filtering custom reports. It's the same thing here. Left-hand column, here we go. We can put ISBN there, and these are the same data elements that we can use to add to our PDF export now, not our Excel spreadsheet export. So filtering, always really useful. Back on the menu though, I wanted to point out favoriting. Was that what we're going to do? Yeah, favourites and shortcuts. So favoriting appears in a few places around the system, and the two that jump out are on the main menu here. By default, you've got these empty stars. If you click on one of the stars, so look over on this left-hand side here when I click on a star. I click on production, and now it's in the starred list. Right, it's over here. So it's just a very small way to tailor the system to the bits that you go to. If you never go to anything to do with rights, don't do what I've just done, which is make them all favourites. Or if you never go to production and you always go to rights because you're the rights and permissions person, there you go. You've got your own starred list, and you don't have to schlep over here with the rest of us looking for whichever option it is. Of course, we could have refined that down by doing rights, and that would get you where you're going anyway. But that can be just a nice way to make the system a little bit more personal. And this is at the user level. So when you sign on with your email address, you're going to see these favourites, these starred options. I wanted to mention shortcuts as well. It says here, press Control to toggle keyboard shortcuts. So I will dutifully press Control and there are my keyboard shortcuts. So if you're the sort of person who navigates by keyboard, then by all means do it like this. So I don't know, let me go to sales analysis. So if I do ID, type ID, then it gets me straight to sales analysis. So that can be really nice as well. But just to remind you again about other places you can do favourites, of course you can do them on Data Studio. So let's look at any old search here. I want to switch to, and we've got these favourites here, these starred. So I can say, oh, the one I really love is the one about contributors. Don't know. I can whittle down using my filter at the top, and then I can star the ones that I want. When I get rid of the filter, there they are. So I don't have to, I mean, it hardly takes a long time, but these are tools that are meant to suit your preference. If your fingers are always on the keyboard, use the filter. If your fingers are always on the mouse, use the starred. If you just like that sort of lack of visual complexity, then it's just really nice to have that option, isn't it? Yes, so filters, starring your favourites, and keyboard shortcuts are maybe something that you can train your fingers to do, make life very, very slightly more easy for you. Right, I'm going to go and have a cup of coffee because I think that is us. Really hope that next week is a completely normal week and that I will see you on Thursday. I think it is. Bank holiday in the UK though. I mean, it's a bit naughty. It's bank holiday in England, Wales, and I think Northern Ireland. It's not a bank holiday in Scotland, but I think I might take an honorary bank holiday. So we'll be on the help desk anyway. So if you have tickets and stuff, then we'll be there. But if you're able to partake, then I hope you have a very pleasant long weekend of it. And see you next week. Take it easy.